What's up, gang? It's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. I can't help but laugh and smile because I'm going live on Facebook, and as Facebook does, it can be glitchy at times. My face is stretched really wide like some kind of weird filter on Snapchat or Instagram. It's hilarious. I'm like an alien filling my filling my screen. That is creepy. All right. I don't think that's actually coming through on your end. It's just on my end, maybe. So let's talk about transformational coaches. I love the transformation space. I remember way back 2003, I had already been, 2001, I picked up my first Jim Rohn CD, or at the time it was a cassette tape. Check that out. I listened to Jim Rohn on cassette in my Honda Civic for 2 years. The same cassette over and over and over again. And so I got this taste of personal development and I loved it. Now, from that space, I ended up finding a course called the Landmark Forum. I don't even remember how I found that actually, in 2003. And that was sort of my first distinction of transformation as a word used in an industry, right? Like there is this industry called transformation, transformational coaches, transformational leaders, transformational work. And it forever changed the course of my life. And so I had this huge heart for transformational coaches and leaders because I feel like what we're doing as an industry is expanding the consciousness of humans, right? We're helping people step into their power and create their life rather than being a victim from fixed mindset. We're actually helping people see that they have choice, that they have options, that if they could free their mind, they could free their actions to do something different, right? And that whole process elevates humanity, right? That whole thing elevates humanity. This is why I love transformational coaches and leaders. Okay, that being said, what I've noticed is that I don't see a lot of transformational coaches and leaders on Facebook or on YouTube or in podcast. Like, look, there is a void. Where are you, transformational leaders? Where are you? Now, if you are a consistent and frequent marketer as a transformational coach, then I'm not talking to you, obviously. I am talking to you, though. If you have a heart for transformation, that you've given your life to this work of transformation, helping others step into their full potential, I'm talking to you if that's what you've done with your life and you're not showing up. Because what are you doing? We can't, I did this forever. I'm saying this only out of deep appreciation for the struggle that it is, right? For years, I would show up because I thought I needed to do marketing, which was, I think, the right assumption, right? Like people aren't just going to fall out of the sky. Although I did have vision boards, right? And I did all sorts of vibration type of work to try to align my energies for the things I was asking for. And as a proactive personality, like I want to have some interaction with my own destiny. I didn't want to just sit there and wait in some type of a pose, waiting for my life to happen. So marketing was this really frustrating place for me because when I'm working with a client, it was great. I was on fire. I felt alive because I was able to see something that they couldn't see for themselves. And I was able to share perspective that helped free them up. But when it came to marketing, all of a sudden I felt stuck and trapped because I didn't know, it wasn't for a lack of effort. I had posted, but then when I got no engagement or nobody said, oh my God, I just love that post, can I hire you? It was like, what's the point? What am I doing? It also wasn't for a lack of investing money in programs and coaches to try to figure it out because I had done that too. What I couldn't figure out was, how does marketing fit me? That was the thing, right? That was the variable that took me out of the marketing game because I couldn't figure out how to make marketing fit me. It's not even that the coaches and the programs and the things I took didn't work for somebody, but it's that I couldn't figure out how it fit me. And so if that is you, if you're a transformational coach or a leader, and you also have been in a space where you're like, I don't know how to make marketing fit me. Every time I try to do marketing, it doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm checking a box, but I can't find passion in it, whatever. When you feel that way, it's very easy, like it was for me, to just not show up to market. We just don't show up. So what we do is, or at least what I did was, we resolve ourselves to do our best with our clients that we currently have and hope that people are referred to us, hope that people are sent our way from past clients, from friends, family, from the universe, from wherever, please God, from wherever, and then to help those people when they come. But that, gang, that is a slow road to trying to grow your business. And the other, one of the pieces of advice that's floating around out there, and I get it, but I think it's a little bit simplistic, right? And that is never give up. Just never give up. Never give up. Just don't give up. Because if you give up, then that's a sure way to not get where you're trying to go. Okay, I get that. That's a little simplified though. It's a little simplified. There's more to it than that. Yes? It's not just about not giving up. If you want to feel productive, right? You could just keep feeling unproductive and never give up in the work of feeling unproductive, right? You could just never give up in the space of feeling really out of alignment with your own marketing. And that sounds super painful. It doesn't have to be that way. So what I would add to never give up is, yes, never give up, and you have to start to think about marketing in a different way. And once you do, for the purpose of creating alignment, where marketing feels aligned to who you are. And again, that sounds even simplistic, and there's a lot to that, right? It is exciting to show up to work. Like every day I get to show up to work is awesome. Every day I get to market is awesome. Why? Because I have a framework for how to move myself forward, not only in my marketing, but how I get to lead people through the transformation I'm here to lead. So let me give you a couple old mindsets contrasted with the new mindsets I had to think through, right? The first old mindset was that in marketing, I just had to share. So the problem with that was I only shared then when I was inspired. I'm like, okay, well, I'm inspired in this moment. Let me turn my camera on and I'll share. And I hoped that would produce something. And when it didn't, I got frustrated. Now, the new mindset that I brought into that was rather than just share, it was share from a framework. Share from a framework. Because when you have a framework that actually allows your message to meet your people where they're at and cast vision for where they can go, it changes the game. Why? Because now you're not just sharing very expansive revelation and excitement. You're actually sharing in a very intentional way so that it makes a difference and lands with resonance over there. Okay, the second old mindset that I had was that I often talked about how. I always talked about how. I love to teach, so I was giving a ton of stuff away. I was lots of teaching of how. The new mindset was to teach about why. So rather than teach the how, where people hadn't asked for the how, I just was wanting to give the how. And so when you give the how and they don't ask for the how, then they don't care about it. They don't care for it. They don't value it. So I had to start to shift to teaching from or sharing from talking about why. Okay, now from there, the third mindset that I had to give up was this whole thing of like posting and praying, because I just didn't know what else to do. So my old mindset was like, well, I guess I'll post and we'll hope that turns into something. And I think a lot of transformational coaches and leaders are stuck in that space of posting and praying. I mean, look, gang, the reality is you don't know what Facebook's algorithm is. Social platforms don't share their algorithm. It's their secret sauce, right? It's their recipe. They don't share that with you. And when you figure it out, or if you hear things in the rumor mill that are supposed to be favorable in the eyes of an algorithm, like post 5 to 7 times a day or post 100 times a day. What was Gary Vee talking about recently? Like 100 posts a day challenge. Oh, crazy. I am not doing 100 posts a day. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't be successful. But what it does mean is, rather than going, by the way, I think that to some degree, the posting 100 things a day is almost like a post and pray strategy. You're like, well, let's just vomit on the social blogosphere, the ecosystem, and just see that if we can just put volume upon volume out, maybe that'll do it. It doesn't have to be this like abstract and like voluminous approach to it. Who has time for 100 posts a day? So here's the new mindset. that I picked up for what worked for me, right? And that was rather than post and pray, I had to start to realize that having a show was the mothership of my content. Having a show was the mothership of my content. What that did for me was it started to focus my attention in marketing to not just, well, I should post this morning, or maybe I'll post next week, or I'll post when I'm excited, but it gave me a rhythm to my marketing, right? When you have a show, this is a show, by the way, what I'm doing right now is a show. When you have a show, like think podcast, right? Think podcast. Podcasts at minimum are a weekly show. And then there are podcasts that are all the way up to like a daily show. Like this one, this is a daily show, right? But what I started to realize was if I could at least show up once a week and share something that was in alignment with who I was, teaching why, not how, then what would happen is I started to create a rhythm, not only a rhythm for me to be consistent, but it gave me the content. It gave me the long form content that I could repurpose and reuse in other areas of my marketing. So this idea that you could commit to a show. I think the other thing about a show was that it actually, it gave me a container for what this thing is. Otherwise, I ended up posting things about my lunch, posting things, I just posted random stuff. And so that's partly for me where it started to feel really out of alignment. Because I'm a pretty intentional guy. Like I don't do many things that are just random. And some, that works for some people. It doesn't work for others. I have a hard time with small talk. I want to talk about the things that I want to talk about, and then I want to chill. And a show gave me the container for the things I wanted to talk about. Rather than posting and praying about my lunch and hoping that made a connection. No, I was going to make a connection about the thing I was here to say to the world, which is what we do as transformational people. When you have a heart for transformation, there is something that is calling you and pulling you. There is a conversation you want to lead in the world. So build a show around it. Build a show around the thing you're trying to say, the transformation you're trying to create and lead in the world. And from that show, you can actually find some leverage to repurpose that content in other ways that are helpful not only to you, but the people you're trying to serve. So I'll wrap with this. If you're a transformational coach, where are you? We need to see you. The world needs you right now. The world is waking up. The world has never been more ready for you. They've never been more ready to hear you and what you have to say. So this is your time to figure out how you can show up aligned in your marketing so you feel empowered to market yourself. And if this is your first time watching the show, then let me say this to you. When I say marketing, I don't mean selling. Marketing is simply you leading a conversation in a leveraged way, right? In a leveraged way to broadcast to the world the conversation you're here to lead. Now that makes sales easier. That makes the sale easier. But marketing is not about selling. And the world is ready for you. The world is here and ready to hear what you have to say because they're waking up. So if you'd like help finding the framework, I can share with you the framework that I used that worked for me. I can also share with you how to create a show. Like my 6-week program is designed to have you launch your own podcast at the end of 6 weeks. At the end of 6 weeks, your show is launched. And you're not just launching a show through the mechanics of how do I put a podcast together. By the end of 6 weeks, you're embodying your entire message that you're here to lead in the world. You already embody it when you're working with a client. But there's this weird disconnect that happens when we put our marketing hat on and we try to say stuff in social media or any other kind of marketing format. And we sort of get disconnected or out of alignment from that thing that we embody. So within 6 short weeks, not only are you empowered by and embodying your message to the world, but you've launched your own podcast into the world, your own show into the world that you can then repurpose in many ways for your marketing. Okay? If you'd like help with that, right, the 6-week program, you can apply for that program. The next one coming up at the time of this recording is March 2nd. And how to find that is to go to groundswellmethod.com, watch the free videos. On the last page of those videos is an application. You fill out the application, it comes to me, and then we can move forward from there. But if you'd like to learn more about this framework that worked for me, that I think is a great fit for transformational coaches or leaders, then go to groundswellmethod.com, watch the free videos, and on the last page of those videos, fill out the application. Thanks for hanging out with me here tonight in this episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Here's to all of you transformational people in the world that want to make the world a better place. See you tomorrow.